Hello, everyone, and welcome to Pause for Pedagogy, a conversation with Leeza Goryunova. My name is Lisa Endersby, and I am an educational developer with the Teaching Commons at York University and co-editor of Pause for Pedagogy. The ILA and I are thrilled to welcome Leeza to our latest conversation in the Pause for Pedagogy series. So welcome, Leeza. I would love if you could begin by sharing a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Well, hello, everybody. It is my pleasure to be here with you. And as Lisa mentioned, my name is Leeza Goryunova. I am assistant professor at the Department of Leadership and Organizational Studies at the University of Southern Maine. I have joined this great team of professionals last year, so I am fairly new. Prior to University of Southern Maine, I taught at the David Eccles School of Business at the University of Utah, and also at a variety of other colleges, for instance, Utah Valley State University, Salt Lake Community College, and some online schools like Decker College, Southern New Hampshire University. So I have been teaching for approximately 16 years. I'm very excited to be a part of the University of Southern Maine. A wonderful group of colleagues, very supportive, and I look forward to being a great contributor.
Excellent, thank you. So you have obviously a range and diversity of expertise and experience to draw from, and we're going to talk a little bit about that experience and expertise in relation to the article that you've written for us for Pause for Pedagogy. So my first question is around what inspired you to write this article? So what was the inspiration or motivation behind writing this article?
The inspiration was to share all the lessons that I have learned over the last 4 years of trying to implement this innovative technology into instruction. As I have been teaching more and more latest generation students, which are Gen Is and Gen Ys, I have noticed that they are looking for a variety of innovative ways to engage with the content. And I was trying to find a way that speaks to them the best. And one of the ways I have noticed that everybody is on the digital devices, on iPhones, everything is mobile. And so I was looking for a technology that would accommodate that flexibility and engagement. And I have stumbled upon this great tool that I immediately recognized as very effective and started implementing it. So although I am very excited about the tool, I have also observed some of the challenges of implementing it. And I want to make sure that my experience is shared, so somebody who would like to do the same would not stumble upon the same blocks. Sort of.
Okay. And so further to that question, this is a question you and I have been chatting a little bit about. What key question or questions were you hoping to answer in writing this article? So you're talking about a very particular way of teaching leadership. What were you hoping to answer for your readers?
What innovative ways are there to engage students on leadership trajectory with the content that we deliver to them? In the past, I have taught natural sciences. For instance, at the Utah Valley University, I taught physics for scientists and engineers. And natural sciences are naturally predisposed to a game, sort of. There is a lot of experimentation. But when I got my PhD in global leadership and transitioned into social sciences, I have noticed that the variety of ways to engage students is not that wide, and so you almost have to create your own content to make concepts alive. Although, specifically in leadership education, we have students that are very focused in getting leadership skills. They are interested in leadership development. They are mostly looking to become leaders. So the topic speaks to them, but the engagement is still not at the level that I would like it to be. It's great. There are many business-like and leadership-like development games out there, but I felt like there is a way to improve. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm always looking to improve, but that's what I was hoping for. And so, yeah, I hope I answered your question.
No, you did. And I think it's a mark of a leader and a scholar and anyone in education that we're always looking for new ways to be innovative and continue down the path towards supporting student engagement and success. So you've talked a little bit about this practice or this pedagogy to get students on this trajectory toward leadership development. So those readers who may have not read the article yet and have come to this video first, tell us more about the practice or the pedagogy you discuss in your article, and where did the inspiration or idea for this work come from?
Mm-hmm. What I have mentioned in my article is that games were a part of my life since early childhood. So I actually attribute a lot of what I have accomplished to my father, who was an engineer by trade, and he was always very innovative, and he was always trying to engage me in creating new experiences. And so he was teaching me the game of chess as one of his favorite pastimes. And in a very subtle way, I have learned through this game the elements of strategizing, deliberate strategizing. So, which I have used on him later. And I can talk about other experiences like that. So that experience of excitement that comes from the game was with me all my childhood. In fact, now when I in the recent past I was served as a business executive, I have noticed that the most exciting activities that I was engaged with was deliberate strategizing, maybe because they were associated with the game that, in childhood that I had. And so that appreciation for the developmental capacity of the game is with me always. And in 2014, I have met a company that came with a governmental delegation to United States. And that company had this unique tool, which was a virtual in real time interactive platform, learning management platform. And I haven't seen anything like that prior to that company. And I have been in education for more than 10 years at that point. And so I immediately recognized that that could be something that I should explore with my students. And that's how it all started. So I have learned how to use the platform. I have started using it with the students by administering gamified tests to them. And it happened at David Eccles School of Business. And I have seen the response from the students. I have seen how interested they are, how engaged they are, and they really enjoyed going back to the same game all over again. And so that basically contributed to them memorizing the concepts, better memorizing the concepts. So that was like additional bonus sort of on engagement with the content that took place. And so this is how I started thinking more and more about making it an integral part of every class that I teach.
Excellent. And you're right, it is such a bonus when students aren't just engaged, but they're also learning as well, which leads me very nicely into my next question, which is about your intended learning outcomes for using gamification and using this platform. So what were your intended learning outcomes for this practice or pedagogy, and how did you assess whether these outcomes were met?
Mm-hmm. Well, the one I have already mentioned, that's better engagement, increased engagement, and connected to that, ability of students to retain knowledge better. And also, I use this as a tool for develop critical thinking skills. So there are three connected objectives when I use this gamified instruction. And so how I measure this, I have mentioned in my article that the gamified instruction comes with a set of statistics. It's a bit different from what Blackboard offers in terms of the titles for columns are different, the data is structured in a different way. So I was looking at some comparables, and I have noticed that the time that students spend in the gamified platform is 3 times longer than what they spend in the Blackboard. And I would not like to just make a blanket statement that this is it, it's 3 times better. For me to understand what is behind that, I need to further dig deeper into the data. But I want to mention that this specific data set comes from the course that I taught over summer. So I barely finished it, so I didn't really have time to dig deeper, but I will. So that was one of the metrics. And then I have seen that the students, again, go back and back. I have seen students take the same test up to 9 times, which is, they're willingly doing so. That's not that I ask them. They're willingly on their own do it. And so that, as one of my students said, even if it's just a memorization, it's still learning. And so that is another metric. And so students' responses, students' comments about that, also another metric. So students said that it's an awesome way to get access to online context because this system is in real life, in real time, not in real life, in real time. When I enter the system and I see a student there, I can immediately interact with that student, and I can recognize them by their images with their avatars. So I can directly speak to them through the platform. I can offer my guidance while they're there. And so this is a human touch that they appreciate, that usually is absent in online education.
Absolutely. And so you were already alluding to my next and final question. It sounds like you're collecting a lot of data, which is great, and a lot of important data about the students' learning experience and their experience in this online platform. So where do you see future research or writing headed in this area, and what might you be researching or writing about next?
Well, first of all, I think that as with any trend, you have to be very careful in understanding that this is not a panacea. So it's not like one size fits all. And if you do gamified instruction, it will be awesome for everybody. While students that belong to Gen Y and iGen are very open to that, some of the earlier generations are not so open. They might find that avatars as a distraction. And so frequently students come to online courses just to get in and out. And that's not the audience that we are targeting with this instruction. We're targeting conscientious learners that are on leadership trajectory and that they're open to learning new things and learning in new ways. So you have to be mindful who you offer this instruction to. And secondly, there are 2 types of gamification that is sort of known. Well, the gamification is supposed to come as a structural gamification, which is awarding badges, points, and that sort of thing. It's a bit superficial in my mind, but it still works. And then the other part is the content gamification. So content gamification is the most expensive one. You can think of, for instance, in medical schools, they have those mannequins that like real people that may breathe and help nursing students to practice their skills. So those 2 really, you have to really consider their effectiveness. And in my in my design, I always try to implement content gamification, but not in the most expensive way. I just try to structure tests so that they address critical concepts in a meaningful way. For instance, one of the tests I use, it has capacity to offer several scenarios. For instance, several cross-cultural scenarios. Sorry about that. And students are able to think about those scenarios and evaluate which one is the right one. And so that is a content type of gamification that I appreciate. And so I tend to focus on content rather than on structural gamification, but I am not sure I am right in doing so, because research indicates that, previous research indicates that structural gamification also works. So I'm curious to find out how every type of gamification works and which types are better for a particular purpose. And in general, effectiveness of each type of gamification. So that is where I see the future of this practice going. So before we put a sticker on it that it is fantastic or it's not so good, we need to get to the bottom of how it works and what are the most effective practices of using it. And I refer in general to the leadership instruction, because that's what I teach. But others who are not in leadership instruction are in other, they also can use it. It's just a matter of understanding what works the best.
And I think that's such an important point and such a valuable lesson for our colleagues who are listening, that we can get caught up in innovation and get caught up in what's new and what's exciting. But I think, Leeza, you're raising such an important point, that having innovation be informed by research, being informed by scholarship, and being informed by critical investigation is so key to anything we implement in leadership studies, let alone those are valuable skills for our students to consider as well. Do you have anything else that you wanted to add or share for the folks who will be reading your article, or perhaps have read your article already?
I would love to partner with somebody who is interested in this technology to continue the research on that, to maybe, engage some students in going through the exercises and see which gamified instruction works best and for what type of instruction. So if anybody is interested, please give me a call or contact me at the University of Southern Maine. And I would be happy to partner.
That's exciting. It sounds like we may get another article or two out of you and some potential research partners, hopefully. Well, thank you, Leeza, and thank you everyone for joining us today. As we know, Pause for Pedagogy is an initiative of the Leadership Education Member Interest Group of the International Leadership Association, ILA. All of our articles and videos are available at www.ila-net.org. You can also follow us on Twitter at @the_ILA. Thanks so much, Leeza. Looking forward to working with you again soon.
Thank you for the opportunity. Goodbye.